morning, everybody. It is November 2nd. I'm Jane Johnston with the Bar Hill Group here for the Victoria Real Estate Show with...
Hey, everybody. It's Andrew Plank here with Vibe Real Estate Group and with LePage. And did you survive Halloween?
It was a non-event.
Non-event. More importantly, did your directional arrows and signs survive Halloween?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. This is, folks, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Have you got your headphones on?
I don't have headphones on, no, because we...
Oh.
Yeah, that's... Okay.
I'm wearing mine.
Yes, you do. You're styling. I mean, I kind of am, but they're not connected to anything. It's just old.
Okay.
Thing. I got my car washed yesterday, and I got asked if I was eligible for the mature discount. I am. What is that? What is that?
I can park in the 55 plus parking now.
You can. Okay. I haven't reached that milestone yet, but I'm getting close. Yeah, but no, folks, like Halloween, is dangerous for directional arrows and signs because those ghosts and goblins tend to get mischievous. But as far as I know, mine are okay as well. I did show a property yesterday that was the sign was missing, so I suspect
the agent took it down.
Possibly. No. Well, I mean, maybe the actual post was there, but the sign was missing.
Well, interestingly, I did have one that was removed, not by the owners, and by someone in the community around Shelburne and Mackenzie, but that was a while ago.
Yeah, that might have been the same time mine did, because I had one over by, actually, no, Shelburne, Mackenzie, no. Mine was more like Shelburne down Derry Road, closer to Cedar Hill, but Shelburne-ish, different Shelburne area. But somebody had come along, picked up the post, carried it across a long distance, dropped it somewhere else, found another agent's sign, picked it up, carried it. They just went up the street collecting signs and moving them along. I think it would have been really funny if they'd actually just reinstalled them on everybody else's listings, but I don't think they were drunk. They think they were too drunk to figure that one out.
Okay, let's get started because we have a lot to cover today.
Yeah, we do. We have a big day. Okay, no guests, but we're talking stats, so let's talk stats.
All right, so we're going to be doing the stats for November 2nd, and we're going to also, as we go along, just talk about strategies to cope with the market because some people still have to buy and sell. So let's get going, Andrew. Start us off.
Yeah, okay, so November 2nd it is. I'm talking like Yoda. And we had 256 new listings in the last week. 95 properties went pending from the pool of properties available. 155 properties decreased in price. That's more than half of the ratio to new listings. 14 price increases of all things, but that's usually because somebody's put in 100,000 instead of $1 million accidentally. 2 properties came back on market. 241 were sold, and 109 expired and 12 withdrawn. So there's a large number of properties not selling as well. That's a pretty good percentage.
So when I do this stats, I go back and I go back to the templates, and we're actually pretty consistent with where we were in August. So this is interesting to me. You're going to see a trend here as we go along, and you'll see that the number of sales is decreasing though. The solds don't surprise me because there were a ton of sales that just happened the end of October here. And
I think too, because people are decreasing price, it's hitting the buyers, point of entry, like where they're like, okay, well, at that price, I'll buy.
Yeah.
But there's that give and take, and we're seeing more of that than we ever did, but we did in the last number of years. You want to talk about last week? I didn't really compare.
Yeah, sure. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so pending is 95 compared to 114, so down a little bit, but also I think because we had it was a party weekend, I felt it was very quiet. And price decreases were about even. Month over month, So for Wednesday, November 1st, we had 407 net unconditional sales. That's starting the month off. That's sales that have completed, and they completed probably in September. They actually transacted in September, but completed at the end of October. Just remember when you're an agent to maybe spread this out a bit so that you're not doing 4 or 5 transactions or closings on the same day. New listings were at 1,100 and that's compared to 998. So we're pretty even year over year, and we're up from last week from
Yeah.
768.
So, and just to comment on what you just said there, about the, not having all the closings happen at once. If you do end up lining up a bunch of closings on one day, in a perfect world, everything runs smoothly. You can get keys to everyone and ensure that everything runs. But when the minute one thing goes wrong, you've now steamrolled a whole bunch of other stuff and made it unfair to everyone else. So that being said, you can't always control what works for the sellers and buyers. So they do sometimes line up, and you have some really busy days, just all sort of focused at one point. Kind of interesting.
One tip for agents is to, if you're having somebody move into a rental, have them move in 2 or 3 days into the month, just because then the seller will have an opportunity to clean it up after the tenant's left.
In a perfect world, they'll take the time to clean it and do. Sometimes they don't, but it also gives you time to get in, perhaps, and investigate and look at how the lay of the land, and maybe do some damage control around that.
Yeah. So of note here is just the number of active listings. So we're at 2,756, and that's up like 25% year over year. So you'll see the trend as we go to the next slide here that we are definitely up at 2,800. And I can't remember what the BC economist was saying. Was he saying 3,000 will hit a balanced market?
I don't remember what he said. What Brendan said, I don't remember what he said was actually a balanced market. But in terms of the number of active listings on market, I mean,
yeah,
that sounds about right. Sure,
so
let's go with that.
To me, there are 2 things happening here. One is we have a seasonal downturn happening, which is normal for this time of year, but also we're seeing a number of people who want to start getting their houses sold. And I don't know if there's been an actual measurable increase in the number of condos coming on the market now that no rentals are allowed. Or no
Short-term rentals. Yeah.
Short-term rentals. Yeah.
I mean, watching the hot sheets, I've seen what it looks to me as more listings that do sort of categorize as, would have been a short-term rental or are in short-term rental buildings. And so yes, definitely seeing some of that. That's just anecdotally because I don't have the stats for it, but it definitely looks like that's what's happening now. And a lot of colleagues are talking about it. A lot of people are talking about it. Just trying to get ahead of it. We'll probably see a lot more condos coming on market in the next little while. Will impact. Yeah. Pointing that on the pool of what's already out there will definitely impact some condo value. But then a lot of those units are really small. Like some of those units in the Janyon are just over 100 square feet, and they're coming out of the rental, the short-term rental pool. And I can imagine someone would be very happy to have that as a space overnight, but I don't know that many people would want to live in that space on a permanent basis. So I question, what the future for those is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw.
I was going to say, getting back to the stats here, we're at December 2021. You see, we reached an all-time low, and that was, I think, around 600. And it is normal for it to go very low in December. So last year we were just over 1,600. I don't expect it will go again this low this year, but it is a great time if you want to buy to take advantage of that, because now you're going to actually have some choice and it's going to be affordable.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And that's that weird balancing act where buyers are more active and more likely to buy when they feel like there's scarcity and there's less choice, and they feel like prices are going up. And when we have more choice, better pricing, you know, they're more hesitant waiting for the better deal, I guess. But
Yeah,
all in all, it's a
exactly.
better position to buy than it has been in a number of years.
And we can see this all coming out in the total number of new listings versus MLS sales.
Hmm.
So I always wonder if the sales are actually reported now. They're reported when they sell, right? Not
Unconditional. I think they've gotten,
unconditional. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I believe this is all based on when it has gone unconditional.
Okay, so the line here is showing, you can see we are coming down in terms of the number of sales. And if you
Hmm.
look at the ratio between the two, we're probably at about less than 25%. So less, just over 400. And the new listings are up around 1,100 there, 11, almost to 1,200. And so, and I felt September was slow, and I can see the list to sale ratio in September is showing that there's a bigger gap between
The
the two
bigger gap,
lines.
yeah, that ratio is it's getting um, wider and wider. Yeah.
Yeah. So I expect you guys, if you are, here's a tip for a buyer. We have actually bought almost all of our properties in November,
Right.
just because anybody who's on the market now is highly motivated, in my mind.
What I find is that people kind of get a mindset around where the future of the market goes. And in springtime, people tend to be a little more buoyant and a little bit more optimistic. At this time of year, if a seller is listed on market, they're not getting activity, they might be more likely to be thinking that this is, the sky is falling. This is the end of the road. I better get ahead of it and take a lower price. And I have found that, it's just that, there's a lot of psychology in this, but this time of year, if you are going on market, it's because you also need to sell. A lot of people tend to wait till the spring and hope for that buoyancy in the market. It doesn't always happen, folks, so don't depend on that. But if they are waiting, then the folks that are listing now are listing sometimes because they believe that it's a better time to sell than in the future. And that means that they believe that they need to be getting, that they may be more negotiable.
Yeah.
You tend not, if you
Yeah.
know places can be worth more in the future than in the past, or than at this moment, you're not going to be taking lower for your home than you would have.
I have a few clients who've recently just listed their houses, and it's been interesting because we've been, you know, you're negotiating the price of the house with the seller when you list a property.
Mhm.
And sellers, of course, want to maximize their money. Right now, what you want to do is kind of just get slightly ahead of the market if it's going to go, if it looks like it's going down, which I think it is. And so then you will um, get ahead of the curve. We did that on a condo recently, and we sold quite quickly, and the
Yeah.
other places that are holding on to their price are still hanging on there.
Yeah, I think like the way I look at it is important to start with the end in mind. What's the most realistic end result here? And if the past sales are higher, but the market is showing things are slowing and softening, and if you list out what the past has done, you're going to be sitting on market as prices continue to go lower and lower. You're better off getting ahead of it if you believe it's going to continue to go in that direction. And as I said, if you believe the market's going to be going up, then there's no point to getting ahead of it because it will catch up with you. But what we're seeing in the stats, though, is not the case. We're not seeing that it's a good time to just list and hold to your price. It's a good time to be realistic about your price and really, really carefully watch what the market's doing and try to get ahead of it so you can sell for more now than less later.
Right. Exactly. Well said.
Thank you.
All righty. You want to discuss this one?
Well, this is
Sales
just
to
a
active.
ratio of the listings to the sales, the active listings to the sales. And you can see back in February, March of 2022, pretty much anything was getting put out with a for sale sign was immediately getting a sold sign because inventory was dropping because we had more properties selling than were actually being listed. And so the pool of properties was going down and down.
Mhm.
You've moved ahead of me. But now we're seeing less and less properties sell compared to what is listing. So now we're down below 20%. So although that some people would say that's a balanced market, or still, it looks like we're moving into buyer's market territory.
Yeah, and this is a to me a weird graph because
Yeah.
basically balanced is 30% and buyers is below that, and they're so close together.
Mhm.
So, and seller's market is, above that. But
But,
essentially,
I mean, I just, if we were to take that seller's market in red on the right-hand side and move it all the way down so it's just above balanced market, that's also accurate. It's just because we've got a graph that goes so much higher now than we had in the past. That's why that's up there. But technically, anything above the balanced market gets into seller's market.
so why I went back to here is just to show people like the list sale ratio of February was quite high, and we peaked here in February 2022 at 120%. So every 10 properties that were going on, 12 were selling. And then
Mm.
we went really low on inventory. And then things started to change with the interest rates. And that's when the inventory started to increase.
Yeah. But now, based on that same argument, going back one to the last slide, now for every, 10 properties that are listing, only 2 are selling according to this graph.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly.
and
Which,
that's good. That speaks for a rise in inventory, a lower, and then just again why it's so important to get your price correct, because you want to be, if you have a 2 in 10 chance of selling during your listing contract, which isn't exactly the case. We're not exactly seeing that kind of number right now, but it is something to be really important to be aware of that.
and if you're a listing agent, just remember you are investing in your clients right now. And so to spend that money on listings, you have to make sure if the number of listings is going up and you're going to be investing in those listings, that you better make sure you have a good price, because you can spend a lot of money on listings and they cannot go anywhere, right?
It's a balancing act because, of course, yeah, I mean, it's a balancing act. People want to need to sell, and it is a conversation with them every time of, like, if we put your property on sale, we're taking the risk that it won't sell. And we've been on the positive side of that for a number of years, where, look at February 2022, where you could put a sign up and the house would just sell. And we're still doing your marketing, you're still doing your work, but you're getting paid really quickly and easily, as in terms of from our own specific business interests. And now it's important. It is important to be more careful about it. At the same time, what we're doing is every time we list a property, no matter what the market, we're having a really deep conversation about their plans, their needs, what they're trying to accomplish, and hope to get them there. And if they're
Okay,
not going to,
I just want to say you and I are having a really deep conversation.
yes.
Not everybody's having a really deep conversation. This is what I'm trying to say,
Mm.
is that people should be having the deep conversation to understand where the market is and where their market pricing should be, so that they can, because I remember like in 2007 listing properties and them not getting any viewings, and I'm like, just hold on, and it was bad advice. I mean, I was new to real estate, but it was bad advice.
It was,
don't just hold on here.
it was good advice that turned out to be bad. Because we don't have crystal balls, we can't read the future, and we've done the same thing when the market was going up and up and up, and people are saying, "What should I offer on a property?" When you're competing and people are offering 100,000 above asking. Back again in the February of 2022, and if you're advising, you know, go for it, and then the market, hits that peak and then starts to turn around, you've also given bad advice. But the best advice you can give is we don't really know where things are going to go. Tomorrow, this graph could spike and go way up again. But overall, based on what we're seeing and based on what the stats are telling us, this is why we're doing this. The feeling and the general consensus is, high interest rate environment and, economy and so forth, is we're probably going to see continuing softening.
Okay, we have a
Oh,
question from Meredith, who
mhm.
is in Texas. Is homeowner insurance required for your purchase process? Yes, it is.
Yes.
And are you seeing higher value homes, anything for reconstruction above 750, having far less insurance carrier options available to them?
Mhm.
Um,
I'm
so
I'm not seeing that. We're seeing a lot more problems getting insurance, and that's been a couple of years now for strata properties, for condos, and insurance rates really spiking for the strata condo buildings. But for regular house insurance, it's gotten more expensive for sure. But actually obtaining insurance is not more difficult.
what Andrew's talking about is a whole building insurance, not the contents insurance. And we do have issues with insurance depending on what's going on in the world, like earthquake or fire, or um, a big thing right now is poly B. If there's, I just learned this past week, if there's more than 30% or 40% of poly B in a house, you have to actually remediate it.
Depends on the insurer, doesn't it?
No. Well, you can get insurance with TD, but basically it was very hard to
Okay, I'm
insure
curious
this
about that.
house.
We've got insurance with BCAA, and I know there's a lot of strata buildings. Again, going back to strata, there's a lot of townhouse complexes and so forth that are fully poly B on the underside, and they're not going through and completely remediating those. But
Well, watch out.
yeah, okay, yeah,
Just
okay. Poly
be
B is a
aware.
type of piping, folks, and it was prevalent in the 90s, late 80s, I guess, in 90s, and it had caused some leaks in some buildings, and especially down south, and that has caused insurers all to be afraid of it.
Right. Even though there's never been a class action lawsuit in Canada, there wasn't the one in the US. And so insurers are a bit leery of it. Just
We're really going
letting you
off
know.
topic a lot today, but it's kind of fun. Yes. Anyway, my insurance on my building, we have a duplex, and we have poly B in ours, and there's a disclaimer in the document that says if there is a leak and it's due to poly B, that our deductible rises significantly, but it doesn't provide for no insurance. It just means we have a much higher deductible.
And in condo buildings with water problems, they have huge deductibles and you can actually get insurance for your deductible.
Yeah. And then, sorry, in Meredith, the reason I brought it up around strata is because still, if a building can't get strata insurance, then the people in that building are not going to be able to get a mortgage, because the mortgage companies do require insurance, whether it's a strata or a house.
Okay, I'm going to go to housing here. So this is interesting to me. When I was looking at the stats earlier this morning, so we were at 1.3 2 years ago. We peaked at April of 2022 around 1.45, which was absolutely crazy. We went down when the interest rates went up around to 1.2. And we've kept fairly steady. There was a bit of a rally earlier in the year. That's when the interest rates looked like they were leveling out. People were feeling a little more confident. And, so, then they announced a few interest rate hikes. The market, to me, overall, if I were to look at this market in 20 years, it would look fairly flat to me. So I'm seeing a little trend upward, but generally pretty flat at 125.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. All righty. Condo apartments. Go ahead.
Yeah. So again, there's sort of that nice soft curve from 2021 through to August of 2022. Then things got a little jangly. But we've been kind of, condos have been funny. Um, they were they were the problem child, I guess, during COVID. Everybody was moving away from them, and and then they've kind of made a bit of a comeback. I do suspect we're going to see some low. This will probably go into a bit of a low curve down, because we did talk about the fact that there's the short-term rental prohibition now. But yeah, we started at, in October 2021, I guess the average was around 625. reached a peak of probably around 690 in January 2022. We're currently on average price for condos more like 620.
Just responding to Meredith's note here,
Oh,
that there was another interest rate hike in the US. And I'm just saying that things work differently here, that we tend to renew every 3 to 5 years, but we are amortized over 25 to 30 years. And so many people are starting to get stressed. That's what's causing the pressure for people to list.
yeah.
And they're stressed about renewing their mortgages for next year. So that's why we're starting to see, I think, an increase in the number of
Now,
houses being listed.
Meredith, are you correct on that? Because I remember I saw it yesterday, a little blurb, and I just did a Google, and it says, 21 hours ago, BBC News, US Fed Reserve holds interest rates at 22-year high. 18 hours ago from Reuters, US stocks rally as Fed holds rates, prompts hopes for end to hikes. So are we sure they went up? Or what are you
Okay,
referring to, Meredith? Maybe you can send us a link. Because
okay.
we had Canada held rates and US held rates last couple of times.
Okay, row townhouses. So we have been seeing these going up and down quite significantly. It again seems that they're leveling out. And this is because the quality of townhouses varies considerably. So we were at 850 in October 2021. We peaked in the spring of 2022. And then we have dipped considerably in January 2023. And it looks like we're going to be steady around 800,000. There are going to be some new townhouses coming up in Fairfield, which I'm sure will increase the cost.
Right. And this goes back to, where is the new construction happening? And that sometimes affects all of these different sectors. And we're not really seeing a lot of new inventory coming in we do with the missing middle, with the new legislation from the provincial government, which we haven't talked about yet, which is trying to open up the development of zoning, upzoning, and allowing for more development. We may see some more of that. That would be nice to see. Balancing that with Vancouver has increased their DCC costs, so this kind of goes against the grain for actually making it affordable for developers to build houses. And I know I'm going again down a bit of a side road, but this all has to do with where our price is going to go in the future and what is our environment going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years. And there's all these different players acting against each other.
Yeah. So what Andrew's saying is, cities are making it more accessible for builders to increase density, but they're also increasing the cost of the development. And then the building costs are higher, and
Yeah.
it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will do the first part, single family homes. So benchmark price was for October 2023, 1,162,100,000. In September, they were 1,169,400. So basically about the same, just a slight decrease of 0.6%, but an increase last year of 2.6%. The core was at 1,305,900. This is compared to 1,312,000 from September, and it's up 3.9% over last year, where it was 1,257,000. Single family in the West Shore was at 1,025,000. This is down 0.9% from 1,035,000 in September of 2023, and up 2.5% where it was 1,800,000 last year. And in the peninsula, we are seeing a strong market there at 1,259,000. This is just down 1% at 1,273 in September of 23, and up 1.2% from 1,244,600 last year. Go ahead.
Okay. I think why I don't like this slide is because anytime I start to do accounting or try to do number stuff, I my brain just goes into fog and turns off. So the minute I start hearing all these numbers, and I know a lot of people do, and I liked math, but this kind of math is not my favorite. Anyway, just a side note, personal thing. But for
I can
condo
do it.
or what's that? No, that's fine. No,
I
I
can.
I don't mind it. It's more that we do it at all. I just feel like people are like zoning out, not listening.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. Stop. I got
Well,
this.
we could just do what the benchmark price is and if we're up or down from last year.
Yeah, that's good with me. Um,
Okay, go for it.
Condo apartments in Greater Victoria. So all areas of Victoria, of Greater Victoria. The benchmark price was 582,500 for October of 2023, pardon me. And that's a little bit down from last month, which was 584.5. Oh, but here we are. I'm going against the grain here. We're going to jump ahead and say that's a 0.3% down from last month. It's a 1.4 increase over last year. In the core apartment buildings, 585,600 is the benchmark price. So the core areas are going to be Victoria, City of Victoria, Vic West, Esquimalt, Saanich East and West. Oh, did I say okay? So 585,600, that is down 0.7% over last month. So the trend is down over last month, but it's still up 1.8% over last year. For the West Shore, Langford, Colwood, Highlands, Metchosin, 535,000 was the benchmark price. That is up 0.8% month over month. So that's up month over month and actually down over last year, which is interesting. It's down 3% over last year. In the peninsula at 651,500. So Peninsula has the highest benchmark price for condos in the region, and it is up 0.9% over last month and up 5.7% over last year. So that would have been the place to buy a condo in the last year. Do you want to
They have a
Google it?
lot of development that's happened in the last while.
Yeah, and some
So,
great areas to live.
so I'm just finding this fascinating. Okay, so row townhouses in Greater Victoria, that's every area, at 773,000, the benchmark price. And that is down 1.6% over last month and pretty much even 0.2% down from last year.
Mhm.
The core, so these are the 5 municipalities in the center of Victoria, row townhouses were at 845,200, and that's down 1.6% over last month and down 0.6% from last year. So fairly even again. West Shore was at 687, so that's a place to buy if you want 400, and that's down 1.9% from last month and down 2.6% from last year. And that's interesting because they have a lot of townhomes that they're selling right now
Yeah,
in new development.
there's a lot
And
of new developments. There's some really good value on some of those new development ones, and there's some older ones that sell for pretty inexpensively in the West Shore.
yeah, row townhouses in the peninsula were at 785. This is down 0.8% from last month and up 6.7% from last year. So that is where you're going to see the biggest increase. And so
It's
I'm
interesting.
thinking of the ones along Rest Haven, newer construction again.
Okay. Oh yeah. I have clients that bought in that. What's interesting when I look at this is when we're looking specifically at the peninsula, I see that single families, it was the one that the price rose the least in the last year, the change in value. Whereas if you were buying a condo or a townhouse, it's the area that rose the most. So there's kind of a bit of a turnaround there.
I think though, because, let me just think here. So single family homes in the peninsula,
We're up
um,
1.2% over last year, which is the least of all of those other areas.
yeah, and
And yet
it tends to be further out, right?
Mhm.
So if the market is shrinking, like price wise, I think it tends to shrink from. Be interesting to see, like just to look at Souk in particular as well.
Yeah, to look at Sukin specifically and areas like Duncan and stuff. The Duncan's been doing really well because a lot of people have been moving from here to there just because of cost of affordability and prices. I just think, using that metric of, as things, we've talked about this before, as, things tend to go up first in the core and last in the exterior areas, and go down first in the exterior areas and last in the core. But when I'm seeing single family homes going up the least in the peninsula, but, townhouses and apartment buildings going up the most, curious about that. It might be because there's more new construction out there for some of those, and it's been a bit of a push on some of those, so they may be holding and boosting some of the prices up. There's not enough
Yeah.
data probably in the peninsula for it to be a real significant one.
And it would be interesting to compare like older homes, 1990 and older, versus the newer homes in the
Yeah.
last 30 years, because I think that there's going to be a big discrepancy in price.
Yeah, we don't get that detailed in our stats, folks. The stats, can be parsed out in many different ways, but we're just looking at some of the bigger picture stuff and trying to sort of anticipate what we can. Let's move on and see what else we've got what else we're seeing though.
We are all done with the stats for today. So
Hey.
we're on to needs and wants, my darling.
I am still looking for that home in Oak Bay or Fairfield, possibly Saanich now, because we've maybe expanded a bit. We saw one yesterday. We're going to go look at it. Well, it listed yesterday. We're going to go look at it today. But somebody made a cheeky. They made a sight unseen offer on it because the seller wasn't having any showings today. The showings were to start. Sorry, no showings yesterday when it listed. Showings were to start today. We got an appointment for today, but somebody wrote an offer yesterday and sight unseen, and the seller has accepted that. So
Get out.
Yeah. So we are going to go still look at it, and maybe if they like it, put in a backup offer. But that was an interesting one to have happen. So anyway, needs and wants. Need that. I need a townhouse in the Saanich area or the core area, under 750, 3 bedrooms preferred. That would be nice. And I'm really just I've got a few other things that I'm looking for. Always looking for a home with suite. It's a good single family home with suite in good shape, for both investors and for people who want to live in them. And I'll leave it at that. In terms of new listings coming on, there's a few down the road a ways, but nothing that's kind of looking at right this instant. So we'll hold on that.
Okay, so I have somebody looking for a house with a suite. We're looking up to 1.5, I would say. They want kind of newer construction, and we're interested anywhere from Esquimalt to Central Saanich. And I have somebody looking for a house with a suite in Metchosin, please. Anything under 2 million, that would be great. And I have a listing on 5th Street. This is a single family home. I mentioned it last week. It's just joined to the back home by a deck. So it really is a single family home. And we're looking, we just reduced the price to $899. So seller says, bring me an offer, please. Anyway, that's all we have. Oh, Meredith says, thank you for all your info. You're welcome, Meredith. I'm coming to Dallas next week. If you want to meet up, I'll be there.
Oh, wow.
All righty. So, and then they're also searching for that 2% inflation rate in the US.
Trying to keep that down.
Okay. Well, it may be rumors, maybe preparation for what's happening. Alrighty. So next week, as I said, I'm not going to be here. Andrew's going to be doing the topic. He'll probably have a guest. He'll let you know what's going on. If you want topics covered, please contact us at our emails. Andrew, how do people reach you, darling?
Yeah, reach out. I'm at info@andrewplank.com. You can actually book an appointment with me through Calendly. There's links on my website, and it's a great way. I just had a meeting yesterday with a new buyer seller about that, and it's a really great system. So just you can go in there, you can find my my calendar, find a free spot, book it, and I'll be available to meet with you on Zoom and have a consult or meet up in person. Email is info@andrewplank.com, website andrewplank.com, phone 250-360-6106.
All right. And you can meet me too if you want. I'm Jane Johnston. My number is 250-744-0775. I'm a lot of fun. And my email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. You can check me out at briarhillgroup.com. Or if you want to look at these videos, go to victoriarealestateshow.com and check lifestyle in Victoria, I guess, at realtyteacher_Remax_Victoria. Alrighty, buddy.
All right, Jane, we'll have fun in Dallas. And business or pleasure?
It's business, doing some training.
All right, good for you.
Look out, world.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for tuning in every week. And again, please do send us your thoughts, and we will talk to you later.
Okay. Thanks, Andrew. Bye.
Bye, Jane.